everyone, it's Ashley and I am bringing you a video today that allows you to go shopping. So hopefully I have your attention. If you're new to my channel, my name is Ashley and I am a candle maker and serial entrepreneur, meaning that I like to start businesses and I also like to keep them going successfully. Today's video is going to be all about things that I cannot live without when pouring my candles. I make them in my kitchen, so it's nice and cozy in my home, but it also has turned into a business and things are escalating very quickly. If you know, you know. And so along the way, I've really been documenting and sharing this journey with you guys of making a product-based business, but also just trying to remain full disclosure with everything that I stumble upon, the good, the bad, the smell goods, all the things in between. And one of the things I wanted to share with you guys today, because we're in the season of shopping and, you know, Black Friday's on the horizon and all of the things. And so I wanted to give you guys some helpful things that have really helped me. Some of these items I've mentioned along the way in some other videos that I've made, but I wanted to give you guys an updated list and things that even today, after I film this video, I'm going to go pour a bunch of candles getting ready for a market that's coming up in Albuquerque. So I wanted to share with you guys even the things that I was setting out and just appreciating the supplies and equipment that I have that help me be efficient and safe and comfortable with pouring candles in my home. So I'm going to share with you guys these today. Some of them are on Amazon. Some of them I'm sure you could price shop elsewhere. I put together a handy list below for you guys, but yeah, get to shopping. You have my full permission. All right, so the first thing that I wanted to share with you guys, I have my lovely notes here, is first and foremost, one of the main upgrades that I did for my candle business was to graduate away from the double boil method or double boiler method. I don't really even know what it is because that's how short of a time period that I was with it. I use coconut soy wax, and so if you're familiar with that, it needs to get pretty hot, and that double boiler method just was lame. It didn't work. So I think the most I was able to get my temperatures to was like 195. And so I was like, this isn't going to work for me. So I went with a Presto pot. And full disclosure, I actually have even upgraded to a DigiBoil, which is like this big boil keg-like system, but it's still in the box because if you know me and you've watched any of my other videos, you know that I like to purchase these things and then I get severe anxiety around learning something new and then they just sit in a box and collect dust. So I have a DigiBoil. It's probably about a $200 donation to their business, just sitting in my garage right now. And honestly, I haven't had the capacity or space to open it and get it tested and get it running. I'm in full throttle holiday season, and so the thought of adding something new with a learning curve to it just doesn't seem very time efficient to me. So hopefully in 2022, I will be opening that bad boy up. But in the meantime, there's also a reason why I haven't had a sense of urgency to open it up, and it's simply because my Presto pots, I have two, are amazing. Like, knock on wood, they're built really well, they do the job, they get really hot, which is nice, and sometimes a little too hot if I don't monitor or watch them closely. And I've honestly just really loved them. They're easy to clean, they're easy to store, they're easy to manage. I quickly grew out of one. I think my pots, they're identical. I think they're a 15 quart capacity. So for virgin coconut soy or EC26, the true EC26, if you're familiar with that, it comes in 5-pound slabs. So I can usually get about 2.5 full slabs in each one. And if that translates into 12-ounce candles, if you pour those, that usually gets me about 3 pitchers full. So I think I can pour about 15 to 20 candles, give or take, with just one Presto pot. And I really have it down to a system now where I will start them when I'm like wicking and getting everything ready. They'll melt probably within like a half an hour. They usually get to the point that I need. I'll pour one into the pouring pitchers, let them sit till they get to the right mix temperature. And it's just this kind of like this well-oiled machine where it's like a little bit of game of Tetris where like I completely use one, refill that, then completely use the other, refill that. And so it's kind of this nice give and take, this dance that I have with my Presto pots. So There's so many different options out there. The exact ones that I have, I got them off Etsy, and I haven't been able to find them since. I believe they were like $115, $120. So I did some digging for you guys. And I saw that there are some available on Amazon, which is kind of nice because it's easy, like ship and return type of thing. And sometimes I like to pay a little extra just for that cushion so that I don't, like if there is a problem or something that I just changed my mind, I can send it back and it doesn't feel as like involved, maybe. I don't know. I think Amazon has just brainwashed us all in our expectations and what we look for. But they are a little bit more expensive now, which is kind of depressing because it just feels like that's the only thing that's happening anymore. It's just everything's getting more expensive. But I found them on there for you guys. And I know some of you guys use the Presto pots without a spout. And that just seems like, to me, pure torture. Like, I wouldn't want to like ladle out, like what a mess. Like even just ladling out soup out of a crock pot is just like my worst task out of a crock pot meal. So the thought of like ladling out your wax, I don't know, it just seems a bit messy. The spouts are like, there's no, you couldn't pay me to not have a spout on that thing. Not that anyone's paying me to do anything, but you just couldn't. So I get that it's cheaper, but honestly, like loosen those purse strings and get the spout and then just save yourself the trouble. So also you probably have to get like a riser with those too, because if you're, depending on where you're working in your workspace, my countertops is what I pour off of. And then I actually just took like an old TV tray and set it under so my pitcher's right underneath it. And then I can just measure exactly and everything just works really well. And no, I do not pour the fragrance oil in the Presto pot. Take the wax from the Presto pot, pour it out the spout into the pouring pitcher, and that's where I mix my fragrance oil, just in case somebody asks, because that usually happens. The next thing that I absolutely cannot live without, my candle line, Upside Goods Company, I offer these travel candles, and they're about 2-ounce tins. And so I pour them about 1.5 ounces of wax, and they're really tiny. I make 36 in one time because they're just a full batch for me. And they're really hard to like use a pouring pitcher for. And so I saw somebody else doing this. It was probably like Sarah from Simply Curated, or I don't even know where, in the beginning of my candle journey, and they were using this baker's funnel. And I absolutely swear by it. I love it. And anytime I post a reel on Instagram of me making candles behind the scenes, and like if that's in any of the footage, it is absolutely comical the amount of questions that I get about what is that tool, like what is that thing, what is that pitcher. I should have looked and done the research before making this video because they always have different weird names to use for it, and that's totally fair because I actually didn't know what I was asking for either. And I don't even know if this is like a true name for it. I call it like a baker's funnel. And because they like will put out, or the batter funnel, maybe that's a batter funnel, I don't know, but they like pour out the batter with it, and so it's the same thing, and it's nice thick consistency that you can pour out the wax with, and it's really nice. They're easy to clean up, and honestly, like I would be lost without that thing. And I also just started adding tea light samples into some of my packaging, so if a customer like orders a bunch of candles, or maybe they just like are always ordering the same scent, I'll throw in a sample of a tea light of a different scent just to like, you know, broaden their palette a little bit and see if they want to buy something else. And so it's really helpful when I'm pouring those tea light samples because that shit is tiny and you need precision. So that baker's funnel really helps. The other thing that I can't live without, which is just like kind of silly, and I'm looking around to see if I have any samples of it, but like any sort of Post-it note. If you are a small business, hand poured, small batch candle maker, all of the keywords that everyone throws in their titles, you should be really batching your candles and keeping track of them. Meaning, so if I go, and usually in my batches, I pour 10 candles in a batch. So what I will do is I will keep track of that batch number on the warning label, and then I will also store them because I have to wait 2 weeks for them to be ready to sell. I will write the batch number on the box that I'm storing them in. So I literally go through millions and millions and millions, not millions, maybe like hundreds. Dramatic effect. I will go through hundreds of Post-its at a time. In fact, I just re-upped my order through Target because I go through their curbside pickup. But you can get them on Amazon. But don't go cheap on the Post-its, you guys. You have to get like good quality Post-its. It's very important. But I use them all the time. And also I do local pickups for people in my area that want to skip the shipping. And so on their bags, I'll use a Post-it and just write their name on it, just so it's easy for me or whoever's home to like set out their bag so that they can grab their order. And then if there's multiple orders out front, which means it was a really good day and I'm super thankful, that's a really nice way for them to know like which one's their order. Nothing like world renowned here. It's not rocket science, but just grab the Post-it notes and like it's really helpful for organization. And honestly, like I panic whenever I'm getting low because I use so many in a day. The other thing that I wanted to share with you guys in regards to my candle making, going back towards like the baker's funnel and then the Presto pot, is I absolutely cannot live without eyedroppers. And I'm talking like good quality eyedroppers, not the plastic ones. I mean the glass ones that have the nice rubber like top to it that you can squeeze. And the reason being of that is because I'm usually, the most times that I'm using that is when I'm either one, pre-measuring out my fragrance oil. So if I over poured my fragrance oil into its little dish before it goes into my pouring pitcher, I will then use that eyedropper to just get like that really fine-tuned amount out and measurement for my ounces. But then I also use them, and this is why it's important to have the glass ones because they can withstand heat. Whenever I've just poured into my vessel, you know, I'm all hand pouring it, I'm all eyeballing it, I know kind of like where I want them to be, but every once in a while I'll over pour. And so what I will do is I will remove some of that hot wax and I will pour it into maybe one of the other vessels that's under poured to try and even them out. And the glass ones work so much better on that. And it's just, again, enough to like get enough wax out that you're not having to take the vessel you just poured, pour it into something else, and then it just gets messy. There's wax everywhere. And if you use matte vessels, it's a pain in the butt. Trying to use a better word there because YouTube doesn't like me cussing. And that's fair. I digress. If you are using those glass ones though, it's really nice to have like a really like boil water or some sort of like hot water nearby and then dunk it in there and just kind of clean out that hot wax to get it as clean as possibly can. There are plastic ones that some suppliers offer, and I was really excited to even have those in the first place, but they just don't last with the hot wax because there's always going to be some remnants in it and then it just gets messy and then it doesn't work. It gets all clogged up and no one has time for that when you're pouring hot candles. Am I right? The last two things are actually things that I set up today that I was like, I really should talk about these more. I probably mentioned them in other videos, but in this list, I just thought it was really important. Because we're pouring such like fragrance oils and different scents and all of the things that are kind of going in the air. And I know us small business candle makers, we always are like, you know, touting that we have these clean candles. And I totally agree with that. But after we're pouring so many scents in a day, like just the thought of like all of these different scents kind of like fluctuating in my home and, you know, dander and all the things. I have pets. So this actually works on both ends as just a person who lives in a home and a person who runs a business out of a home. I really highly recommend an air purifier. Maybe if anything just for peace of mind, but I have that thing going all the time in the kitchen space that I'm using, and I'm constantly cleaning out that filter, which kind of can get really disgusting. Again, I have pets though, so let's be clear. But the air purifier is something that I just make sure is running all day long. You know, we actually don't turn it off. And so using it all the time, especially whenever I'm pouring candles, and sometimes I'll even set it up on the table that I'm pouring at. Again, more so just for peace of mind, but because like we're inhaling all of this stuff all the time. And, you know, again, I'm not a rocket scientist. Very clearly I am not, but, you know, I don't think ingesting all of these scents all of the time is the best, especially when they're at such hot temperatures and it's so like saturated for us when we're making a lot of candles all the time. So air purifier, I can't live without it. I think it was like $89.95, something like that. Prices probably changed because again, everything is just like through the roof, but it is one expense that I'm really like proud that I have and that I use every single day. So I wanted to share that with you guys. And then the other thing that I wanted to share with you guys, I live in the desert, but we actually do have all 4 seasons and things have gotten pretty cold lately. And I'm storing all of my vessels out in the garage. And like this morning I went out and it was like 35 degrees in the garage first thing this morning. And I knew I had to pour. So right after this, I'm going to go pour all these candles. But here's the thing. So we're heating the wax to like such a certain temperature, we're mixing it at a certain temperature, and we're monitoring all these temperatures. But if my house is chilly or the vessels are cold, our job is to really heat up those vessels so that they're not freezing whenever we put the wax in there, because then it's just like a shock to the temperature and it's going to drop dramatically. And I actually want my candles to slowly harden, to slowly cure, to do all the things at a nice room temperature. And so I've already set my candles downstairs. My husband actually said, what is the space heater doing? And it's actually warming the vessels right now, because I want to get them more to a room temperature so that whenever I do pour here right after I edit this video, that the temperatures are not, again, going to be a shock, because I held one of those vessels and it was pretty chilly. So I wouldn't want to go in that vessel if I was hot wax. So I'm not going to do that to my candles. Now, you know me, and I'm not the most scientific when it comes to, should I say I'm not a rocket scientist again? I'm not the most scientific when it comes to these temperatures and all the science behind candle making. I just know what I know and what works for my candles. But I would imagine that there is a candle business out there or YouTuber that could tell us a little bit of weight behind why the temperatures are so important, especially when the candles are curing. And if you guys pour tins, I've noticed in the winter, some of my candles that are smaller, they actually will crack down the middle. And I do know that that is because they cooled off way too quickly and because they shrunk like in the vessel itself. So I want to have less work to do after pouring candles, because that's enough manual labor in itself. And so I'm just going to heat those babies up and then hope for the best. So if you guys have any tips or tricks or any like items and equipment that you can't live without, as always, guys, leave those in the comments below. If you have links, share them. Like, let's make this a truly collaborative community. And if you haven't watched my videos before, welcome, first and foremost. Like I said, my name is Ashley, but I also have a Facebook group and 30 for 30 mentoring. And basically what that is, any product or service-based business, you don't have to be a candle maker. It helps to talk shop, but I run a few other businesses out here in this world as small businesses. And I just work with you guys to kind of reduce overwhelm. You ask me any questions. We can talk about marketing. We can talk about business. We can talk about strategy. We can even talk about candle making specifically and questions that you have. If I don't know the answer, I'll simply tell you. But it's really nice because I found that it really reduces overwhelm and kind of like stress, and helps to take like things that become roadblocks for us and just kind of like allow them to dissolve a little bit and maybe not be so stressed about certain things. Because a lot of times small business owners are working by themselves for themselves, and it's really hard to kind of remove that tunnel vision that we get sometimes. So $30 for 30 minutes, you schedule it with me, it's really easy. Or you can join our Candle Collective Facebook group, or you can just email me and say hi, because I really like that too. My name is Ashley, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any questions at all, leave them in the comments below. And if you haven't yet, I would really love it if you subscribe to this channel and we can go along this crazy small business world journey together. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.